As they strolled along, walking cane at hand, Milo continued to despise the passing automobiles. Once he wasn't in such excruciating agony, though, they didn't seem quite so terrifying. Despite not fully understanding the intricate details, their intended purpose was more obvious now. Yet another way humans found to make commuting much faster. However, he nevertheless kept a safe distance from them by walking as close as possible to the building's walls. Grendel, on the other hand, didn't appear to pay any attention to them. He crossed the street without looking many times and narrowly avoided being struck. But all of that was background noise to what was really on his mind. He fished around in his pocket for the bottle of pills Richard had given him. Undoubtedly, they were useful. But this was odd in its own way. Kaw-Sekhmu were immune to the effects of anything a person might eat or drink. They could only take in nutrients that had already been eaten and absorbed into the bloodstream of another living creature, preferably a human. They didn't have a bloody flavor, but his recent consumption of blood had left him with an uneasy feeling. The aftertaste was reminiscent of crude oil, natural gas, salt, cellulose, and coal. But that may have been an effect of his illness. They moved along in relative silence. Milo rambled on mindlessly in an effort to divert his attention, asking, "Who was the woman on your phone?" He didn't give a damn but was hoping to divert his mind from the things he feared. Knowing Grendel, he assumed she wasn't anyone of importance. When questioned, Grendel simply shrugged. "No one," he said, taking an increasing interest in the street signs. There was something off about his answer. He often did have extensive conversations with his potential victims, giving them one last taste of what he considered a good time before they perished. He would get them high on whatever popular mind-altering chemical was in fashion at the time before feeding on them. But it seemed like a step too far to pose for a photo with his victims. Though technology has evolved, the etiquette of not being too forthright about your familiarity with the deceased remained the same. Although Grendel was a bit of a slob, he wasn't completely thoughtless. But Grendel did something unexpected when Milo voiced his concerns. Grendel whirled around abruptly. "Milo, cars aren't that fucking terrifying. Get over it." They both stood in silence. It was uncommon for Grendel to be short with anyone, especially toward Milo. Grendel's jaw hung open for a second as if he couldn't believe the words were actually coming out of his mouth. A moment later he turned as if nothing happened, pointing down the street. "Maybe 2 more blocks, south of here, I believe." They went into the building and up the stairs without exchanging a word. A number and the physician's name were written on a little placard and hung on the door. "Are you sure this is the right place?" Grendel asked. There was a brief moment when Milo looked in his direction. "We were following your directions, this better be the place," he wanted to say. "That's what Richard called him," he murmured as he pushed open the door. The two were welcomed by a dim interior as Milo tentatively knocked on the smoke-covered window. An instant later, a woman with a harsh expression pushed it open. Her blonde hair was tied up in a careless bun. She looked at them both with suspicion, as if the pair of them were a pariah. Her skeletal index finger curved around the glass and pointed at the handwritten sign. "Every day, from noon to 1 p.m., our offices are closed for lunch." Her voice was harsh and empty as if she repeated this line over and over. "You can take a seat over there if you have an appointment." She indicated a nook with 3 seats and a magazine-covered table. "I need to talk with Dr. Constantine, but I do not have an appointment," Milo started to say. "As soon as you finish lunch, that is. We can wait," he quickly added as he took in the woman's disapproval. "You'll have to schedule a meeting." She hastily presented a card to him. "Make an appointment by calling this number, and then coming back." Milo shuffled the business card in his palm and studied it curiously. Why can't he just see Milo now? Grendel asked as he pushed past Milo to confront the woman directly. Milo was going to respond, to tell her he was willing to jump over their meaningless hurdles. He may have even been kind about it. When Dr. Constantine strolled by the window, with a quick glance, he halted what he was doing as his face drained of all color, nearly dropping his clipboard as he composed himself. Soon after, he joined the pair in the lobby. "I'm very sorry, you don't need an appointment." He looked at the receptionist in a peculiar way. "These are associates of Richard's. Assuming that either of these gentlemen enters for whatever reason, I need to know immediately." Suddenly, she turned her gaze to the two of them with interest. Giving them a simple nod and then cautiously sliding the window shut, she disappeared. "My sincerest apologies for this. For obvious reasons, we can't just let anyone in." He drifted off, refusing to look either in the eye. "Considering you are friends with Richard, you are welcome to come whenever you feel fit. For whatever reason, I feel like I can trust you," he said with an unconvincing smile. Milo and Grendel glanced at each other briefly. This certainly was a novel concept. Most of Richard's leverage came from being connected to the two of them. It was surely a strange feeling knowing he now had this power over both of them. As Milo followed, Grendel was left behind with the magazines. "Why did you decide to come in today?" he asked as he led Milo into one of the back rooms. The room was dreary and reminiscent of the morgue where he had awakened. Perhaps stainless steel had become the standard. "Have your symptoms gotten worse?" He spoke his question with worry and apprehension mixed in. Milo paused for a moment as he pulled the pills from his pocket. "No. In fact, I have been feeling much better because of these pills you gave me." The physician looked at him with bewilderment. "What are these tablets?" He examined the bottle more closely. "Who gave these to you?" "Then it wasn't you, as Richard said, was it?" Milo asked. Why would Richard want to tell a lie? At that moment he knew something wasn't right. As he shook his head, the doctor expressed his disapproval. "Your lab results haven't even been run yet. I wouldn't count on them to arrive till tomorrow." He looked at the tag closely. "I wouldn't have prescribed anything to you yet. Should I stop taking them? I guess this could work." Dr. Constantine considered the tablets as he spoke. "The Netapuri are my primary clients. A great number of the younger ones use this as an alternative to feeding on humans. It uses synthetic blood created in a laboratory. As far as the Kaw-Sekhmu, I can only speak from what little limited experience I do have, but I see no reason why this can't be effective for you as well." This went against everything he knew to be true. To stay alive, he would need authentic human blood. He wanted to shout at the doctor, but the anger passed as fast as it came. It hadn't been the man's fault. He knew little about the ones that were closest to the source, such as himself. For the Netapuri, this may be an ideal answer. But for the more ancient Kaw-Sekhmu, this would have not benefited them. This would not be the answer he was looking for. Certainly not permanently. They may use it as a filler. His very survival and extended lifespan depended on draining the vitality and power of human beings. But he was unable to tell the man any of this. There were numerous things he had kept secret from his people throughout the years. As an outsider, he would have to keep even more from him. Even if he were a medical professional, he couldn't chance it. There was a great deal more to lose than gain. He took the tablets begrudgingly but otherwise seemed unconcerned. "Was there anything else?" Dr. Constantine inquired as he shuffled awkwardly from one foot to the other. Milo could barely manage a head movement in response. "When the results of the blood test come back, I'll give you a call. You're good to keep consuming them," pointing at the bottle. "In a few days, we can have a more in-depth discussion regarding our future steps." Milo didn't think there was any way this doctor could be of any use. Moreover, he was confident that the pills wouldn't help. When he returned to the lobby, he was greeted by Grendel interlocking the pages of all the magazines, and somehow finding comfort in his strange behavior. At least he seemed like he wasn't suffering from whatever ailed Milo.